Sure, no worries. Sure, no worries.
I request you to set up all your slides and related content related to your presentation. Please sort it out, so then all the attendees will come, so we can live your event accordingly.
That's fine. I'm ready. Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to add any slides for your community, Pakistan community? I just said on my last slide, I said special thanks to MSP community, Lahore, Pakistan, and that's the only thing I said. Do you have anything else? Do you have like a logo or something that you want me to put in my slides?
Not necessarily. Just show your content of the slides you have to show over here. We are not bound to restrict our content to your slides. So just prepare your slides, and then we will shortly be live for your event.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah, everything's ready. I just removed the demo for some security privacy reasons. I'm going to show them really simple demos on interacting with their shells and show them step by step, but actual scenario of hacking and stuff, I didn't see, essential to be here in this event because it's talking about really advanced and stuff. And most of the people who are attending are not familiar with PowerShell, in general. So this is, I try to target it differently for even for the people who never worked with PowerShell before. So yeah, I've been working on this for a couple of weeks, so I hope it goes well.
Hello everyone. We welcome you to the microservices version 1.1 1.0 event from Microsoft Community Lahore. We have today with us Hani Momeninia. He's from London, United Kingdom, founder of Invest Cyber. He's a self-processed and has technical expertise spanning a variety of the security domains from forcing to offensive security. He's a big believer that one of the biggest problems of the security is making it accessible and interesting to those outside the security industry. Today, he will represent the slides related to the PowerShell for penetration testers. And we have a talk description, use of PowerShell to gather information about the target, and secondly, implement a sophisticated attack. We will start the session in 1 or 2 minutes, and if all of you, the attendees, have any questions related to this session, kindly ask in the Q&A section of the team. Hani will entertain your questions accordingly. So let's start session, Hani. Here you go.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I know if I can share my slides in a second, I will give it a try. Share, and there we go. Okay. Can everyone see my slides now? Is that working?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, just gonna give it a try again. Yeah. Can you see my slides now?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you so much for your introduction. We're gonna start as soon as possible. So this workshop, as the title said, is PowerShell for penetration testers. But doesn't mean that if you're not a penetration tester, you shouldn't be here. This workshop is targeting everyone, even the beginners, even the people who never work with PowerShell. And so hopefully after this workshop, I can convince you that PowerShell is one of the tools that you need to learn now. Before we start, some people know me, some people know me from other workshops that I run for MSPs. I'm Hani Momeninia, founder of Invest Cyber. I do a lot of public speaking. I've been working in security for many years, working with the Metropolitan Police in London and doing a lot of consultancy and got certified in early age from Cisco, Microsoft, and recently Elam Security. Microsoft is your partner. This is an honor. And if you want to find out more about me, you can just add me on my LinkedIn. Today, we're going to cover a lot of things. The reason I've been working on these slides for a couple of weeks and wanted to make sure that it's targeting everyone who want to learn about PowerShell and everyone who want to learn more about PowerShell in different purposes, such as penetration testing or even automation. So we're going to start with what is a PowerShell, what we need to really care about this tool, what is important about PowerShell, and then we go through all this execution policy. What's the execution policy behind it? What is it exactly? What we need to learn about PowerShell. If you want to do something in PowerShell, what's the limitation, restriction that we need to know about? And then we talk about the CMD lit. That's one of the things I always use it in my presentation, and you will see I'm going to use it a lot of time. I'm going to explain what is it and how we're going to use it, and we're going to check help with PowerShell. So PowerShell have a lot of commands. You can't memorize all the commands. So what you can do is they're providing very well documentation for the people who want to learn more about the command specific or the arguments or everything about the command, even the examples provided by command line. And then we go concept of pipelining. So what's the pipelining in PowerShell? Is a kind of same concept in Linux, but I won't show them what is in PowerShell. We explore Windows Registry. So how we can interact with Windows Registry, how we can navigate there. And also I'm gonna teach you a technique used by researchers or hackers or penetration testers called select string CMD let. So this method, this CMD let, used to search for a specific strings on your operating system in just a couple of seconds. So if you're looking for a password on a system, you don't need to go through all the files. You just need to run select a string and looking for the string that you're looking for. And then we will cover modules in PowerShell. What are modules? How you're going to import modules in PowerShell? And then lastly, we're going to finish with PowerShell frameworks for penetration testers. What type of frameworks are available? How you're going to use them? How you're going to install them? All documentation available. So let's crack on with this. PowerShell. So PowerShell, there's a lot of definition. If you go search for PowerShell, Microsoft have amazing documentation on it. And it said it's a built-in shell scripting environment that we can utilize to penetration tester to consider availability on all modern Windows-based systems. So PowerShell started a long time ago. I think it was Windows 7 and they started doing PowerShell. And in early stage, the PowerShell wasn't good enough. They brought this tool to help the sysadmins to automate stuff and help them to do the boring stuff with PowerShell. So there's a scripting language built in Windows, okay, to help sysadmin to automate the stuff. So instead of you creating a username for one person, you can create a script that creates 500 users, okay, but just in a couple of minutes. So it's kind of speeding up everything, kind of helping everyone to do the job better. So we know with Linux and other operating system, Python and other scripting language, even Bash scripting coming by default, but Windows didn't have anything like that. So PowerShell gives a lot of power to the Windows, which is, that's why they call it PowerShell. And recently they developed it to version 7. The version 7 is really improved, is accepting a lot of commands from Linux environment as well. And they're getting better and better. So in the last version that they released, version 7, they are cross-platform now, which means that you can install your PowerShell on Mac OS or maybe Linux or anywhere else. So they don't really care about where you install it, so make it accessible to everyone. That's the best news that I've ever heard when it comes to PowerShell. The another thing is that PowerShell, there's a concept called living off the land. Living off the land is that this tool is built in an operating system, which means that you don't need to install any application or anything else to use PowerShell. When you're installing Windows, when you have Windows environment on your network, by default, you can access to PowerShell tool. So this is really good in a good side and a bad side. In a good side, that yes, I have a PowerShell tool, I can access to anything I want, I can do anything I want on the operating system, okay, which give me a lot of power to customize my network, customize my environment. But at the same time, hackers think a little bit different, saying that, well, this comes with Windows environment, which means that we have a power to manipulate or have a power to design a sophisticated attack to attack a network, because we have all these tools built in an operating system. But we shouldn't see it as a bad thing. We should see it as always a good thing. So a lot of advantage. I can just talk about PowerShell, how good it is for an hour, and this is never going to stop. So this is a few bullet points that I thought that's really important to know. First is that many organizations are trusting this application. This comes from Microsoft. Microsoft have a huge team behind it. They will always work on and update it. So this is a trusted application that always organization looking for. So if you are having skills in PowerShell scripting writing and putting in your CV, companies love that. They want to see that people who know how to use operating system very well, and even the tools in it. So trusted application, that's really important. The another thing is that it's entirely within the memory process. So one of the things is that PowerShell gives ability to developers and sysadmins is that you don't need to execute a command or file with your operating system. You can just say, in this session, in this session that I open, or in this process that I opened with this PowerShell, I just want to execute this inside the memory. So you don't need to have any file. This called them fileless technique. So what you do is that you run a command, you download anything you want inside the memory, and you execute it inside the memory. So this is a little bit crazy, scary, how you can execute something in a memory without even downloading the file, which can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But later on, we discuss how this can be used by hackers to execute something on the memory to avoid antiviruses, to avoid security systems. And another thing is .NET. I don't know how many people here are big fan of .NET framework and C# and everything else. This is built in on .NET framework, which means that everything that .NET provide, PowerShell can use it. So anything and as a classes or any features that .NET provide, you can use in PowerShell. PowerShell is fully compatible. PowerShell built on top of .NET framework. And another thing is that PowerShell can access to all the Windows DLLs. For example, there is a DLL on operating system Windows that is responsible for networking, or responsible for managing hardware, or responsible for managing everything. So you can interact with DLLs. You can just say, well, yes, can I disable the Wi-Fi on Windows? Yes. Can I enable something else? So you can just sending command between a DLL. This is really powerful when it comes to designing something that you want to interact in a deep level with your operating system. Another thing is that bypassing application while listening. So this is another feature that PowerShell is providing to us to bypass a lot of restriction that we have. Sometimes you want to do something with your operating system, it requires a different type of permission, but with just PowerShell, because you're interacting with the .NET framework and the DLL, you can apply different type of permission. We will talk about the execution policy in the next slide. And the last thing is there are a lot of tools available. I have a couple of links here. There's a GitHub for PowerSploit, and there's another thing called Awesome PowerShell. If you go to these GitHub repos, you will see that a lot of people sat down and wrote frameworks that use PowerShell to do different things, because it's a little bit complicated when it comes to scripting. But there's a lots of open source platform written in PowerShell for automating different things, and you can just use them. Most of them are open source. You can just even contribute to this project. So there is thousands tools written in PowerShell at this moment, and this is just a few of them. Let's crack on with PowerShell to see how is PowerShell executing scripts, how PowerShell is accessing. So if you have that much power that you can execute anything, you can just go there and just say, well, I just want to change registry. Can I open a port? Can I disable the firewall? Well, this is kind of good because it gives you power. At the same time, it's not good because this is security risk that you should take. So it has a different type of execution policy that how and you can execute scripts. So there's a list on it. There's a link here from Microsoft. If I can open this one. I think okay. Yeah. If you click on the link on PowerShell, this is for PowerShell 7. It gives you a lot of more information. But the two really important is the PowerShell bypass policy and unrestricted policy. So these two, what they do is that if you want to run a script written by you, which is not trusted by Microsoft, you need to assign this. So you need to go to command line and say PowerShell.exe execution policy bypass and script.ps1. Why you need to do that? Because the script that you write by yourself is not trusted by Microsoft, and Microsoft they design PowerShell in a way that you can't run a script outside the trusted environment they design. So you need to write change execution policy to bypass, so you can run any other scripts. Even the script that you download from the internet are not trusted by Microsoft. So you need always trying to break this. This is kind of security risk if you want to do it, but this is your responsibility if you want to run something that is not trusted by Microsoft. So for example, you wrote a script that creates multiple users or change registry and stuff. You can't run it. What you need to do is that go to command line and check for execution policy bypass and change it. Let me see if I can bring my PowerShell here and show you how exactly it looks like. Okay, let me bring my PowerShell. Okay, so in my PowerShell, this is a PowerShell version 5. It comes with Windows 10, and if I just check the $PS version and complete it with tab, I can see that I'm using version 5. Why I'm using version 5? Because the version 5 is at the moment is a default shell with Windows 10, but later on Microsoft said that they're going to replace PowerShell 7. At the moment, PowerShell 7 is in development stage. It's a cross-platform, but it doesn't come with Windows environment at the moment, so you need to install it. But it's really reliable PowerShell version 5. So let's check for the execution policy. Get execution policy. So you can check your execution policy for your system by just running the execution policy. And then if you want to see that, for example, if it's what kind of execution policy is available on your system, you can just click, just say execution policy list. You can see that for your local machine is a remote sign. For current user, nothing defined. Process, nothing defined. This kind of showing you that how you can set the execution policy to different things in Windows. You can set execution policy into process, to user, to specific user, or maybe a user policy saying this group of users, okay, every time they want to run a script, okay, please restrict them. Maybe there is a department that you don't want them to use different type of script on the system. So you can kind of restrict them by just writing some commands. So let's move on with the execution policy and see what we can do. So I've been talking about something called CMD-led. CMD-led. I'm mentioning it multiple times. But what is a CMD-led? A command is a function, is a script that do a single function. What I mean by that is a command that you say, for example, the one that we mentioned a few minutes ago called get execution policy. This is a CMD-led. What I mean by that is that every time you run this command, it will pull a script and it will do a single function for us and it will show us a result. The result you see here, they call it object. So I don't know if you work with the C# or .NET framework before, but everything that you get from a command in PowerShell called object, and the object can be different because you can do a lot of things with the object later on. But the CMD-led is just basically a command that pulling another script to do a single function. CMD-leds are really powerful. They do a lot of things. So there are native commands. They come with PowerShell. You don't need to install any type of CMD-led. And is verb noun. So if you see them, they always. Yes, I am here.
Yeah, Hani, your slides are not working properly. So can you pause for 2 or 3 minutes so we can confirm from our attendees?
Sure. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, it's showing what is CMLD, but not forwarding.
Not a PowerShell? Can you see my PowerShell window?
Now reshare your desktop screen.
Okay, I'm gonna reshare it again. Can you see it? Okay, just give it some time. If you can see it, let me know.
Yes, it's visible now.
Okay, so where it cut, let me know so I can do it again.
Yes, continue.
Okay, cool. So I was talking about the CMD-led and what is CMD? CMD-led basically is a command, that any command that you use here called CMD-led, that you use it to pull another script, okay, to do a single function. So the get execution policy basically is a command that will pull the script from somewhere else in the PowerShell library to do a single function. And then all this CMD-leds always start with the verb noun. So if you see them, they always start with get dash and something. So get process, get everything. So get process will get all the process for you. And get CMD, get anything. So always start in this way. So when you see a command start with get, this is kind of CMD-led. And another thing is that the CMD-leds always try and they always can chain them together. So you can have two CMD-led together and then chain them with pipe. So what is pipe? This is a, so if you just say get process, you can pipe it to another CMD-led. So for example, get sorted, something like this, or get alive, any other command. So the CMDs are really flexible that you can always chain them together. I don't know if you used Linux before, but pipe is always trying to execute the first one and the output goes to the second one as an input, and the second one output go to the third one if you have more pipe. So what they call it in PowerShell, they call it a pipeline. So when you see something like this with the line between them, they call it a pipeline, which means that this is a multiple commands that do customized functions. Sometimes you want to run a command, and then the output you want to filter it based on priorities, based on destination or path or anything else. You want to customize it based on your needs, so you can use something called pipeline. So the CMDlets are really flexible to chain them together in this way. And another thing is that everything, as I said, always remember everything that you get from them is a object. So if I say get execution policy, the things that I get from here is an object, which means that I can do a lot of things with the object. I can just append, remove, I can edit it, I can do a lot of things. I can do everything that the object can be, again, give it to me. And these kind of things are complicated. So when I started learning about PowerShell, there was a lot of commands that I couldn't understand. There's a lot of commands and parameters that I needed to get help. So there was a lot of it was a lot of complicated for me to understand all these commands, and I was always going to Microsoft website to understand that which command is mixed with which and how I can mix them together. The good things about PowerShell is something that I didn't see it in Linux. We have a manual page that helps you about the command. It gives you a lot of help, what's the arguments, how you're going to do it, an example, but PowerShell is doing it much better. There's a free version of help that you can get for a command, and there's a full example online. So what you need to do, if you want to learn about the command and you don't know how to do it and how to use it, all you need to do is say that get help, get process, and full. This give you, let me give you an example. So for example, there's a command that we used a few minutes ago called get process. So get process is really complicated because it just show you a lot of things here. A lot of all these processes are running on your computer, and there's a lot of arguments at the end of it. And there's no example showing you here. So what you need to do is that every time you want to learn about the command, all you need to do is saying that get help, and you mention the command that you want to get help for. So get process. Get process full. This will bring all the documentation that related to that command. It's really important to always read the documentation. I haven't seen anyone who can memorize all the commands in PowerShell or know all the commands. Even the people, senior people that work in big companies or sysadmin for many years, they always look for the documentation. They know this get process do this job, but they don't know how to use it, so they read always documentation. So it is no shame if you run this command and say get help, get process full. And this will show you all the information related to, from the description to the syntax to how to even to use it, all these parameters and stuff. But if you want looking for just getting an example, you want to see that how exactly this works, is that the good things that Microsoft provide is that example. So if show you example, for example, say get process PowerShell file version info, and this is the output, and this is what exactly do. And for example, another example here for the SQL module, everything else. It's really good because you can just read it and say that, well, the things I want to do is related to this example. So if I run this command, it will do that for me. And there's another version called online version. I always wanted to always mention in all the workshops is always trying to update your documentation. So there's a command called update help. Yeah. If you run this command update help, it will go to Microsoft website and it will put the latest documentation about all the commands available in your system. I'm not going to run this because it will take a lot of time, but if you run this command, it will update. But what you need to make sure is that when you're opening a PowerShell, okay, you need to make sure that the PowerShell run by admin. So you need to go to start, go to PowerShell, right click and run as administrator. The reason behind it, because in update help, it will access and update all the files and needs full permission to do that. So I always try to make sure you're updating at any time you want to run any commands, just run it, just say get help and the command. The another thing is that sometimes you want to do something with a feature in Windows. For example, you want to work with firewall in Windows. And you don't know what kind of command is available. There's another CMD that PowerShell provide called get command. Get command is showing you that what commands are available for different things. If I say get command name, and I'm just looking for everything that starts with anything and then it has a firewall in it. So which means that I'm looking for all the commands that interacting with firewall. So there's a get net firewall address filter, get all the rules for me, okay, and remove all the some of the rules, rename some of them. So this is all the commands, and every time you want to do something, for example, I want to work with this one, for example, remove this one, remove a rule. So I will copy this one. So I just right click on it and just say get help. I just put this one. It show me all the help link to this. So if I want to see, let me cancel this one, just say full. It will show me everything that I can do with this command. Everything from even the example. There's an example here that example number 1, remove netfilter rule. If I want to remove something, I need to do this and this and this. All I need to do, just copy paste and apply to the things I want. So there is no reason that people are saying that I can't work with PowerShell. What you need to do is that use get command and get help. These two are your best friend forever if you want to use PowerShell. And so let's move on with the pipelining. So I was talking about the pipelining a few slides ago, that how you can link multiple CMD together and how you can do something different. So the get process that we were talking about is getting all the process are running on your system. And there's other CMD that you can use to kind of filter your output. So the things that we were seeing there, it wasn't clear enough. It was a lot of information that some of them are even you don't need it. So what you can do in PowerShell, you can pipeline, using pipeline to kind of customize. So if I just say get process, it will give me a lot of information that I actually don't need. There's all the processes here, and there's multiple columns are handles, npm or PM or get process name. I don't really care about all of this. All this information that this side, I don't need that. All I need is the process name. If I want to filter all this process name and just output to a file, all I need to do is just say get process. Oh, if I can type, and then pipe it to another CMD called sort object, and then say, please just print me the ones that are unique. I don't want to print anything that is duplicated. If it's the process, like for example, team here, because Microsoft Team opening the different tabs, and for each tab have their own process name. So I don't want to have a duplicate. I would just want to have all the unique one, and then all the information from there, I want to select, as I said, as I said before, everything that comes as an output from a CMD LED is an object. So select object is the process name. Why I need to do process name? Because from here I can see that all I need to have is the process name. So clearly you just need to copy paste. I think this is case sensitive, so you need to just make sure that is capital P pro.
Hani, sorry for interruption. Kindly, can you please zoom your screen so we can visible your PowerShell more clear?
Okay, cool. I will see this if I can. Can you see now? Okay, there we go. What about now?
Perfect.
Oh, great. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because for my screen is super visible, but when it comes to different internet connection, it might just be a little bit blurry. So let me explain it again. So I use a command called get process, and then I pipe all the information coming from this process to another CMD LED called sort object. What the sort object do is that you're looking for all the information in the get process, and it will remove all these duplicated results. So it will always looking for the unique one, and everything that comes from here, I'm looking for the process name. Everything else, it will get deleted. So let's run this command to see what we get. So all we got is the process name and all this name of all the process are running. Why is it important? Sometimes you want to do a penetration testing. You want to see what type of applications testing. You want to see what type of applications running on that computer. Okay, what kind of process are they running at the moment? All you need to do is that to craft a command like this. This can be customizable. So if you're looking for different things that you wanted, for example, process name, and then you're looking for a Firefox process running on that system because you feel that Firefox is vulnerable, or any other process that you're looking for, you can filter it based on your needs. It doesn't really need to be this way. But this command clearly shows that how you can use a pipeline, which is a pipe command, to take an output from one CMD LED and input it to another CMD LED and filter it based on your needs. So as you see here, I can get all of these process names here. So this process name, everything's here, instead of getting something like this, which is not really visible and is really long. So I got this one and it's really cool. So what you can exactly do is that, let me clear the screen again and then run it again. So if you want to save this output to a file, all you need to do is just redirect it to a file called, for example, process.txt. What exactly do we? It won't show you anything because everything is stored here. So if I say ls, I can see a file called process.txt. Okay, so everything is stored here. If you want to store everything in a file and read it later on, you can just use this command again. Just say run the command, and at the end you just put redirect to process.txt and it will store everything there. So it's quite powerful what kind of things you can do with PowerShell. And there's another command here that I'm gonna run it and to see how the result looks like. So if I want to get the process, I'm looking for Firefox because I know I'm running Firefox. So I'm looking for the Firefox process on the system. And then I'm going to pipe it to sort object. Why I need to do that? Because I feel like maybe you're running a Firefox on your system and maybe you have multiple tabs, and for each tab, Firefox creating a new process. So I don't need to have duplicated result. I just want to have to see if this Firefox is running on your system or not. And then just say unique, and then I will pipe it to format this path. So what's the last one? So we know about the get process. It's getting information about the process. Sort object is sorting all the objects and remove all the duplicates. And the last thing is called format list. Format list is something that you can filter based on the things you want from the process. So what you want to say is saying that I know the Firefox is running. Please give me the path where the Firefox is installed on your system. So when I click on this one, it gives me saying that the Firefox is installed on program file, Mozilla Firefox, and Firefox.exe. This is really important. Sometimes there's some process running on your system. You have no idea where that process comes from. If you run this command, you will see where the process is installed and where's the location of the process. This is important in penetration testing because sometimes there's some processes are vulnerable to exploitation, to post-exploitation even. You want to know where the process is and how you can interact with that process. So if you want to know where the process is running on your system is located, all you need to do is that use this command. At the end, you say format list path. It will show you the path that the process are running. So there's a lot of things to do. I can't teach you everything about it. I just give you 3 examples. There is thousands examples how you can use pipeline, how you can use different CMD LED. In this workshop, I'm just focusing to give you the fundamental and knowledge about how to use PowerShell and how to learn PowerShell, because there's so much things available on documentation on Microsoft website. And here I'm just giving a real example how penetration testing using these commands. I think there's another thing that I was thinking to add it to these slides are registry. I don't know how many of you know what the registry is. Registry basically is a place that Windows saving all the settings about your operating system. For example, if you are changing your background picture, there's a registry key, there's a registry place that is storing your file name, location, and every information about your system. So every time you restart your computer will remember what type of information and settings you implemented before, and it will recover everything. So it's kind of a place that is store all the information. Registry is really important. So with PowerShell, you can interact with registry. You can just go to registry and you can add, remove, edit, and do everything. So it's same as a like file and folder. So you can just like say CD and go to that registry place. You can check everything. I can even show you how it look like, but I need to run my I need to run my PowerShell in admin permission. So I right click on PowerShell and just say run as admin. As you see here, it said administrator. The reason behind it because the power registry is really important part of the operating system, and you need to have a full permission to do that. So to go to the registry, you just say cd HKLM and then colon /. So this will go to the registry. If you say ls for checking the registry, you can see some stuff in system, software, everything else. And if you want to get more information about it, just say I want to go to I want to go to software. It's same as a folder, software. If you want to go to Microsoft and Windows current version. Windows, okay, if I can type today and current version, and you can just say ls. There's a lot of information here. The reason behind that I choose this path to check is that because there is a lot of information here that related to the operating system. As a sysadmin, it's really important to understand that what the things is available on your system when you're designing a system. But as a hacker or penetration tester, it's really valuable information, because this information can just give me a lot of things about the operating system, about the vulnerability that I can expose, but a lot of information that I can use later on in my penetration testing phase. So, for example, one of the things that was really important for me is the Windows update. This just clearly show me that when was the last time that person updated the Windows. So 2020, 5th, 8th. So it was yesterday I just run my Windows update. Why is it important? Because sometimes you will see that some of the sysadmin are super lazy. They haven't updated the system for the last 2 years. So as a penetration tester, it's really important to understand that, well, they haven't updated the system for the last 2 years. What I need to do is that I need to looking for the exploits and all this malware that works on Windows in last 2 years and try that. So basically it's giving you information that what kind of vulnerabilities work on the operating system based on the updates. So every time Windows releasing an update, it will mention that what kind of things are fixed and what kind of things they are working on at the moment. But with the Windows update, you can just clearly see which vulnerabilities you can, how you can attack the system, and how the system is vulnerable to different vulnerabilities. There's a lot of more information about the process, about everything that's running on the system that you can see from here. So this is a really powerful command that you can use. So access into registry is really important, and with PowerShell, you can clearly just go through registry. So this was from registry. Another thing is that let's because I promised to do a little bit demo and do a little bit of a command implementation and stuff. This is something I want to show you. They call it magic. Why I call it magic? Because it saved my life multiple times. There was in the penetration testing phase that I was checking for a system to looking for sensitive information. And the system has a lot of files because there was a lot of application generating a lot of logs, but I was looking for a specific password in different folders. There was a lot of files there, the TXT file, XML files, a lot of files here. I didn't have enough time to go through all the files, and I didn't have enough courage to just go read all the files because there was a lot of binary files and mixed together. So what I'm doing here is that I implemented something that I will show you in a second. First, let me explain what select a string is. Select a string is another CMD-let. What it exactly will do is that it's looking for all the files in a folder or all the files in a drive and looking for a pattern. So it will open all the files, it will scan through all the files, and we're looking for something to start with password, something to start with the user, something to start with any information that you feed it to. So this is really important. Sometimes, it's not sometimes, and most of the times that I do a lot of security testing, most of the developers or even sysadmin are super lazy. They always put their passwords in a simple text file. And what they forget that they had this password in a text file, and then get exposed by hackers. So I will show you in a second, and let me bring my PowerShell again. And this is the admin one, this is the normal one. Cool. So you can see the PowerShell here. Let me increase the size so you can see. Great. So this is a folder I created. I created a folder called PowerShell Sandbox. So if you see in this folder, there's a lot of files here. There's a TXT files, there's a database, there's a zip files, there is an image file, and there's everything else. So this is really busy place. So if I just wanted to open one of those, okay, if I just say random, just say get content of random something txt2. There's so much text here, I can't even read this. Random text, random text, and I can't go through all of them. So there's a lot of files here with the random rubbish information. And I'm looking for a password. I just changed this, renamed this one password.txt. I'm not going to check this one because I don't have time. So what I need to do is that I need to run this command. It will go through all the files in this directory, okay, and looking for a password. So let's say select. Let me run it here so people can see it. This is not the one. Select string path. I'm looking for all the file that finish with txt and they have a pattern of pass a word or pass anything. So I don't know how is it, if it's a pass word or is that pass is like pass like this, pass word. I have no idea how it looks like, so I'm gonna say pass anything at the end. So it will look in all the files here, and you say that I find a file called password.txt. On line 4, there's a password here. This is string that looks like a password. So let's see this file to see how it looks like. So say get content, show me the password.txt. As you see, someone just put the information. So there's a username here, there's a password here, and it's fully in clear text. Nothing is encrypted. This will happen a lot of them. You might think this is silly. No one gonna put the password in a TXT file on their computer. There's a lot of people do that, still do that. There's a lot of applications that expose a lot of information. If I'm looking for an IP address or database credential, all I need to do is just run this command again. Just instead of password, just say DB. I'm looking for a database. So just a database credentials. If I'm looking for IP address, if I'm looking for a user, it will check all the file. User is root. So this information is available, and you can run this command. As you see that it checked all the files in just few seconds. So this command is really powerful, and I call it magic because it just saved my life scanning through all the files. Okay. And if you're familiar with programming, in programming, we always use something called for or loop or while loop. So always trying to loop through the file. So what this CMD let do is that you open the file, it will loop all the lines, it will go through all the lines, it will looking for the string that you said at the end, say pattern password, it's looking for this pattern. If this pattern is found, it will print it. If not, it will go to the second file until all the files finish on that folder. So this is CMD. So as I said, the CMDlet is pulling script that will do a single function for us. But if you want to do it in a more complicated way, these two commands exactly do the same. But this is more advanced one. When you're doing a scripting in PowerShell environment, sometimes you want to run different commands doing different outputs. So what you do is that ls is listing all the directories, and you say do -r, which is reverse, and file looking all the file for start.txt, pipe, we learned that called pipeline. And then here, these symbols is showing that for each object. So it will scan one file for each object, it will run this block. So the block C on the right, it will run it every time you find a file. So what's a block set? That's a select a string, path, and this one is a variable that currently they're working for. So if they're looking for a file called random.txt, this will be replaced by random.txt, and the second file is different name, so this will replace over again. This is a dynamic variable that always change. And then you have a pattern, password, and then you will looking for all the files. So which one is faster? Both of them kind of same speed, because even the CMD selected string was use the same technique. So we saw here, super powerful. We can use select a string through all the files. This is really important because sometimes you want to looking for something but you don't have time. I think this is the last things before that. Yes, this is the last thing. The last thing I want to teach you about PowerShell is modules. So there's so many things added to PowerShell recently, and Microsoft has always updated PowerShell, the PowerShell 7. So what they said on the website is saying that we're not updating PowerShell 5 anymore. We're giving updates for security reasons and patches and stuff, but we're not adding any modules to it. So any new features it will come to PowerShell 7 from now. Modules are really important. So many things that you can add functional to the PowerShell by just importing a module. So the module that comes with PowerShell are really simple. The things that you can do, the CMD that you saw, but some of the modules are really complicated. Sometimes you want to do something that you need a different type of permission. So modules can be installed from the internet, and then they have a format called PSM1. So this is one, this is not LOI. PSM1, and one stands for the engine that the PowerShell is using. So all you need to do is that use the get command list available. So if I go here, clear the screen, if I just say get module is available, it will search for all the modules that are available on the system that I can utilize. If there's any other modules that I need to use, all I need to do is to import it. So you're looking for everything, and let me expand the screen and see. So you're looking for all the modules that I can use, saying that there's a lot of modules you can use. There is a module type, there's a package management, there is a PowerShell get, a lot of things. There's some of the stuff that I installed by myself called post showdown. So I don't know if you know a search engine called Showdown, which is used by security testers and also sysadmin to search for vulnerabilities and search for open port on system. This is a module that wasn't here before. I installed it here, and it gives me a CMD lets. So this CMD let, I can use it. So I can just say get Showdown host service, search Showdown exploits, and I can use this command here. So it's adding a CMD lets, a collection of the CMD lets to my PowerShell. So make my PowerShell more advanced for different type of use. And some of them comes by default. If you're installing any modules from the internet, all you need to do is that say import module and the module name. And it's quite easy. When you click on this one, it will install that module, and then you can use that module. There's different type of modules that we can use. There's a script module, binary module, manifest module, and dynamic module. You won't use that binary and manifest that much, but the dynamic and the script one. The script one is something that someone else wrote it before. The script is doing certain things. All you need to do is just import that module and then use it. But a dynamic one is something that created inside the memory. So this is the really advanced topic. I didn't mention it here, but if you want to learn more about it, just type dynamic modules on the internet or Microsoft website. There's a lot of articles that how you can create a module based on different things. For example, using C# or .NET framework, you want to utilize some of the classes in .NET to create a module to do different things on Windows. All you need to do is create a dynamic module and then assign all these classes from .NET framework to it. And every time you run this module, it will do certain things for you. So it's fully customizable. Despite of using Linux for many years, I've been always struggle. Sometimes I have some commands that do certain things. Here, you can change the commands. You can change the command's behavior by just creating a dynamic module. So it's super powerful what Microsoft doing with this project, and I'm just looking forward to see more features on it. And so, as I said, import module and importing module. And if you want to see the list of the module, all you need to do is just say list available. We'll show you all the lists. I promise to do that. People message me saying that you're doing PowerShell for hackers. Can you just recommend some frameworks? So there is thousands of them. I'm not gonna say use all of them and start learning more about PowerShell. I'm saying that go take a look at them. If it's interesting, go learn them. So there's many are available. There is the one called Bloodhood. This is the one I use. So it's really can just do complex attack. I'll just give you an example what this framework can do. Is that you can infect a computer with a Bloodhood malware or Bloodhood payload. Then it will stand there and it will do any activities. It will stay there. And it will do any activity. It will stay there and it will show you any activity to the system. And it will looking for a Wi-Fi network. Every time a Wi-Fi network with a specific name comes to the list, it will get activated. So it's really powerful. Sometimes you want to test for security, but you don't want to go inside the building. You just want to be around the building and then just turn your mobile phone and create a hotspot, which is a message to the system, and it will execute the command. So I'm always recommend go through the documentation. There is so many modules that you can import. After you install these modules on your system, you can use all of them. I'm not saying that use them for offensive purpose. Even you can use it for defensive purposes. PowerShell is another one that's super famous. It is a GitHub repository that have all of those frameworks and the link and documentation to it. There's a lot of post-exploitation. Sometimes you hack the system and you're inside the system and you want to download some information and you want to do a lot of enumeration. What you need to do is I use one of these PowerShell frameworks here to get more information about the system. So much to learn. Still haven't finished anything about PowerShell. I was talking about PowerShell for last an hour now, and I feel I haven't taught you anything about PowerShell yet because it's super complicated. So there's so much to learn about PowerShell, but doesn't mean that you have no idea. So for now, you know what's a PowerShell, how you can use it, what's your execution policy, and everything else. I hope it was informative for you, and I want to special thanks to MSP Community Lahore Pakistan. They're amazing. They're doing fantastic. I've done another event with them before in web security, and thank you for inviting me. And if you have any question, I will be available in next few minutes for answering any question. And thank you for your time.